board exam strategy session for maths. So as you all of you are aware of that maths is your last board exam. That's on 28th of March. So we are having the last strategy session for you guys, in which we'll basically concentrate on maximizing our score, getting as much as we can, more than 90% in probably 30 minutes. I'll give you some tips and tricks to boost your score. So now that you've already given a lot many exams of basically board exams, so you are accustomed with the preparation, you are accustomed with the environment that the board exam creates, that what center, which seat, how everything goes, the reading time, the bell system, etc. You're all comfortable and accustomed with all of those things, so it becomes very easy for you as this is the last session. So you may get overexcited, you might feel underconfident because it's a maths exam. Some of you might be doing that. So uh, apart from all this, you should have a very balanced approach towards the last exam, especially that being a mathematics exam. So you need to keep your calm. That's the most important thing, because you've all prepared a lot for the past 1 year, and you've all almost through with your concepts, right? And you're accustomed with all the game. You're accustomed with the game rules of the game as such. So it becomes very, very imperative that you keep a very balanced approach. You do not get uh, overexcited by as it is the last exam, and then you tend to just be overexcited as to what I'll do after the exam, all the parties and all the happy things and enjoyment things that you'll be doing after the exams. But right now, this is the last phase, the last lap of your preparation. So make sure that you give your 100%, you give your best, right? Which are the important chapters? Yeah, we'll discuss that in a while, Soham. So I'll quickly tell you the basic layout of today's session. We'll be basically concentrating on the exam bifurcation, what all sections are there, what all questions you can expect. Then we'll discuss the unit-wise breakage, right? How many units are allocated, how many marks. And then I'll tell you the most important thing, that in these 5 days or 4.5 days that you have, what all you can do to boost your score, right? So let's get going, guys. I can see a lot of you texting that which are the important chapters, NCRT book is sufficient. A timeline, please. Yeah, I'll give you the timeline basically at the second half of the session, right, Ram? So stay for a while. Right, so let's start, guys. Let's get going with our today's board exam strategy session for mathematics. So first of all, let's discuss the unit-wise breakage. I'm sure all of you already are aware of this, that we've got the 7 units, right? Starting with probably your algebra is the most important one, which will have a maximum weightage of 20 marks. Algebra includes polynomials, quadratic equations, pair of linear equations, and arithmetic progressions. Now, how do we basically cater to this algebra, right? Because it's a very vast unit, right? It's got 5 chapters and 4 chapters, and it's very vast we can say practice intensive, right? So once you start with your revision, whenever you do that, you plan to do that whenever, probably after Sunday or before or just after the session. So what you need to do is, first of all, go through your revision notes, right? Or whatever notes that you have formed, either in your class, right, in your school, basically, either in some other tuition you were, or on Merit Nation, or basically your your self-made notes. So start from there, right? Make sure you revise the notes. How do you revise the notes? Don't just read through it. Make sure you write down some important formulas on a A4 size sheet, on a separate sheet, right? That's how you can actually memorize the formulas, as well as basically recollect what you were learning when you were learning polynomials or quadratic equations, let's say, right? So that's how you start the revision, right? Always from your self-study notes or your school notes, right? Any chapter you pick up, go through the notes first, then the NCRT, right? And NCRT also, the typical examples you have, right? The miscellaneous examples, the last exercise examples, right? Usually those are examples that you might find like a speed breaker, right? Something that will challenge you. So do those examples again. Also, make sure you go through the questions that you've marked, right? Some of the students mark a star or mark a circle around the question number. that these are the questions that are very peculiar, you were not able to solve in the first place. So go through them again, right? So most importantly, what I'll say is that Tushar, that he's asking basically, Tushar Agarwal is asking that should we solve NCRT? Is it enough? See, nothing is enough, right? If you see from a perspective of an exam, right, nothing will be enough if you do not get 100 on 100 or 80 on 80, and everything will be enough if you get 80 on 80, right? Not even doing an NCRT will be enough. So what I can suggest is do not go for the quantitative approach, that is NCRT enough, I've done RT Sharma these many questions, is that enough? No, you should have a qualitative approach towards it, right? After all, you're learning the concepts. If you've got the concept, you've understood the concept, it's all about applying the concept in the exam, right? So yeah, I can say for sure that for the past 3-4 years, or at least not 3-4 years, I guess, till the time I started giving the board exams, right? So it's been around 10 years now. So it has been seen that NCRT, doing an NCRT book thoroughly, right, it's more than enough. It's more than enough. So yeah, Tushar, there goes your answer. So I was discussing the unit-wise breakage. So basically, over here, once you start your revision, guys, please go through the coordinate geometry first of all, right? Coordinate geometry is one unit that will give you the essential boost, right? It's like during the power plays, right? The cricketers want to hit boundaries because the fielders are all encroaching upon them. So that's how they boost the score, right? By hitting the boundaries. So once you start a revision, that's like a power play going on. So go for coordinate geometry because it's a very short chapter, right? It's very concise, just 3 concepts: distance formula, section formula, and you've got the area of triangle. So go for that coordinate geometry. It will give you a huge boost because your one unit can be done in probably 1 hour or so, right? So go for coordinate geometry. Right after that, if you want to break from geometry, you can go for mensuration, because again, mensuration is another unit where you just require the formulas, the understanding of formulas, this curved surface area, the total surface area, and all that, right? So you've already practiced a lot many questions on mensuration. So after coordinate geometry, go for mensuration, right? And after going from mensuration, probably you can go for either trigonometry, or if you want another light chapter, you can go for number systems or statistics, right? That totally depends on you, which chapter you're comfortable in, right? But first 2 chapters should be your coordinate geometry and your mensuration. That's your basic understanding, your strategy for your revision, right? How to reduce stress, Ritika. I'm sure you've given a lot many board exams by now, at least 4, right? So I guess you have tackled stress in the past and very recent past, right? You know how to remain calm, how to remain composed, right? And still perform, right? So what I can say is that, especially for maths, right? In maths, it's very important not to get nervous or not to get overconfident or not to be in a hurry while doing the exams, right? Please, I've seen lot many students, they get very excited with seeing the question that they have already done, right? Or they can crack, right? You read a question and you are able to understand what it is asking. It's a very simple question. You get extremely excited and hence be overconfident and hence do a silly mistake, right? So avoid that, right? That's a very negative trap to be caught in. Try not to go into that. Avoid that. Another thing that is, if you read a question and it goes straight above your head, you're not able to comprehend anything about the question, then you start panicking, right? Because you have questions ahead of you, another 15-20 questions, and you're not able to crack this question, right? And then the panic button basically is pressed and you start forming all kinds of notion in your mind. So avoid that. How to avoid that? See, if you are not able to do a question given your preparation for 1 year, please understand that there are another probably 2-3 lakhs at least of you, right, who will also not be able to do that question, right, in the first place, in the first attempt, right? So it's not that only you are suffering from that, right? One thing. Second thing, basically you can leave some space, probably leave 1 sheet or 2 sheets, right? Start with the question, let's say question number 15 you were stuck on, go to question number 16, right? do not basically spend time on that question which you are not able to do, right? Do not do that. Go to question number 16. Do all the questions you are able to in the first place, right? That's how you will be avoiding stress, right? Because stress will mount if you keep on getting stuck on that question which you're not able to do, right? How to score full? uh, how to score full? There is no magic wand for that. How to score full is basically keep calm and composed. Do not get overconfident, because if you're asking how to score full, so I'm assuming that you're already scoring more than 90%. You're doing some silly mistakes as in some calculation error. So for avoiding that, you need to recheck your calculations, right? If it's a conceptual error, make sure that you revise the concepts very thoroughly. You have written the notes extremely neat and clean, right? In a A4 size sheet, probably write all the notes, right? And also, if it's a like a language error, you read the question wrong. Like it's asking curved surface area, and you have read total surface area. So that's all because of your hurry and your imbalance created in your mind, right? So avoid that, right? Have a very calm and composed approach. That it's 3 hours exam. Basically, I will not term it an exam. It's an opportunity to showcase your talent, because you've already prepared for 1 year, right? It's now just an opportunity for 3 hours given to you to showcase your talent as to how many questions you can do, right? So have that approach, have that competitive approach, that yes, I need to do all questions that will be thrown at me, right? So I'll not go into the unit wise details. I've already gone through them a lot many times in the strategy series that we have earlier, right? So you can watch those videos as well. That's available on YouTube and Facebook as well. So go through that for the unit wise breakup as to what questions you can expect, what kind of uh, problems you can expect. Very typical problems of heights and distances. I've already told about heights and distances, as you'll get a triangle of 30, 60, 90, a 30 degree, 60 degree, and 90-degree angle triangle, or a 45, 45, 90 triangle, right? So you'll get these two triangles, and questions will revolve only on these two, right? So it's no need to panic, right? It's just about two triangles. You need to solve questions revolving on that, right? So for those tips and tricks, please go through the earlier videos. Now let's come to the question paper design. You're already aware of the bifurcation. I'll just quickly go through the bifurcation again. So section A, 6 questions, 1 mark each. Section B, 6 questions, again 2 marks each. Section C, 10 marks. 10 questions, 3 marks. That makes it 30. And then section D, 8 questions, 4 marks each. All right. So what I'll suggest is you found out your comfortable zone, right, in the previous board exams as well, in your sample papers also, that which section you need to start with. Probably you'll start with section A. That's what the majority of you will do, and that's the ideal approach to do that. You start from section A, then B, then C, then D, right? But the important part is that in section A and B, you need to finish it in 30 minutes to 45 minutes. You cannot take any further time than that. You have to finish section A and B within 45 minutes, right? You cannot take more than that, right? If you're taking more than that, that seems to be that there's some problem. You're doing something wrong, right? Please finish section A and B in 45 minutes. Take them as one bunch of a section A and B cumulative, right? And then section C and D is where the real game starts, right? It's those middle overs which actually count. You need to have a very balanced approach for every question. You do it, you put a tick mark, you improve your confidence, move on to the next question, right? Because section C especially is a very important section, right? It's got 10 questions. That will be taxing also, taxing in a way that you'll have to write lot many things. You'll have to write entire page answer, right? You've already seen that in board exams, I guess, previous also, that section C is the most important one, wherein the actual exam is going to start, and you have to write long answer types questions, right? And it will involve lot many calculations. Then section D is like section D is more like hitting a 6, 8 sixes you need to hit, right? Or 4 marks each, right? So and how many sixes, how many questions you can do, that's the basic game over there, right? Those 8 questions are very typical for those, for especially section D. What I'll advise you all guys is, all students, that please go through the past 3 years CBSE exam, right? CBSE board exams past 3 years, that is 2015, 16, and probably 17 if you can do that, or before also if you can really get a hold of that, because that will give you an idea as to what kind of 4 marks questions are asked, right? Probably calculating a volume of a combination of solids, right? That is asked, or something about pair of linear equations you have to solve, right? A big cross multiplication that is asked probably in a 3 mark question. So you'll get an idea as to what kind of questions you can expect in the long answer type questions, right? Then lastly, we've got a value based question of 4 marks, right? In the 4 marks question, it will be included right on the value, right? So the value usually revolves around loving, caring, social responsibility, or environmental cause. A value will be asked, something like that. So for that, please make sure that yes, it's a valid 1 mark question, right? You cannot ignore that. At the same time, it's more like a just your based on your conscience, based on your mood, how your mood is going on, just write down 1 line, right? And make sure you just highlight the value that you are writing, right? The value that you want to convey, just underline that, 2 words, 1 word, right? In that 1 line, you'll be through with that. And yes, a very important thing is that you'll be given internal choices between 4 questions of 3 marks and 3 questions of 4 marks. So for that, you have to be very wise in your decision making, right? Which question to do, which question to avoid, which question will take time to solve, which question is easy to solve, right? So that decision making you have to do in that crunch time, right? So make sure that you do enough sample papers or previous year papers to basically refine your decision making, right? Because this is very important. That's where the people who come out of the center, some people say that it was very lengthy, and some people say no, it was all fine, I could do it in 2.5 hours, right? So that's where the decision making actually helps, right? So please have a wise decision making, that if you are able to understand that you will be able to do the question in the limited time and you will be able to solve it absolutely well. So yeah, go for that. Or you have practiced a question like that before, so go for that, right? That will help you a lot. Then this is all about the basically the bifurcation of how the questions will be. Remembering, understanding, and application are the main criterias. The hots will be just 10% or probably 15%. That's 8 to 12 marks hots, right? Do not be in that mindset that the paper will be tough, that the paper will be easy, right? Do not have that mindset. Please, I request you, all of you, that when you go to an examination, don't have prejudices that the examination will be tough or is it easy, right? That will only let down your result, right? So please have that approach that okay, fine, whatever a question comes up, I will try to do it, I'll try to give my 100%, right? That's how the approach should be, right? And you should be excited about the questions. You should not be afraid of the questions as to, oh my god, what kind of question I can expect. No, you should be like, yes, bring it on, bring on the questions, let me do, let me see, let me try, right? Yeah. Now yeah, you can of course, as all of you are aware of, you can get the MN top 100 questions and with their solutions. For maths, at least, you can get now. Science and social studies is already over, so please get a hold of top 100 questions with solutions for class 10 board exams, right? As soon as you sign up on this, you'll get an automated mail in which you'll get the PDF of 100 questions. Those 100 questions have been compiled by our experts over here who have seen a lot many board exams previously, right? So for the past 5-6 years, what all board exams have been there, they have compiled a very crisp and a very typical questions that you can expect. So please get a hold of this top 100 questions. Now, coming to the timeline, that's very important as to what timeline you should have. Basically, what should be your strategy for these 5 days, right? Yesterday you had SST exam, right? I'm sure everybody exam was great. It was not that difficult, right? Although the topic and the syllabus was vast, but yeah, the question paper as such was very easy. So after that, I don't think anybody would have studied a little bit of maths. You might have done a few questions here and there, but from now, that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You've got almost 5 days, right? So what I'll suggest is you can have 2 approaches. Either you can divide these 5 days depending on, or basically 4 days. I don't want you guys to go on the last day. These 4 days into basically three chapters each, right? Or four chapters each, right? So divide your time, your 4 days, in 3 or 4 chapters each, right? And in those 3 4 chapters, go through the NCRT first, go through your notes prima facie, right? Go through your notes. What I mean by that is, write everything that is there in your notes in a very concise manner on an A4 sheet, right? Just like the way you will be able to write in exam, right? You will be writing in exam. That's how neatly you need to write, right? All the formulas, all the concepts, all the diagrams, all the constructions, make sure you write them on A4 size sheet, right? By looking at your notes. And then go through the NCRT typical examples. If time permits, probably RD Sharma or RS Agarwal, any reference book that you are referring to. Lastly, in those 4 days, you can go for sample paper each day, or a previous year paper. That will give you a better idea. Every day, you can go for a previous year paper at the night after your revision has happened of those 4 chapters. This is one way, right? The another approach would be that basically you already are through with the syllabus, you are already through with the questions and all. Now it's all about revising, right? So what you can do is revise straight away from the previous year papers, right? Do a previous year paper right now after the session, probably, or after your break, whenever the time permits, right? Do a previous year paper which you think is challenging, and then assess yourself on that. Assess yourself on that. That were you able to do all the questions? Were you able to crack every question? Were you getting stuck? Was the time management fine, etc.? Sony steps need not be written in steps of in your constructions. Steps of construction are not required. Basically, if it's asking you explicitly, then yes, of course you will have to write it. But from the past, it has been seen that it's usually not asked, right? So if it's asking you, please write that. If it's not mentioned in the question, do not write the steps of construction, right? How to prepare in these 4 days? So what I'll suggest is start a revision, go through your notes today, right? Then pick up units like coordinate geometry, as I have told you. Once you begin your revision, go for coordinate geometry, then go for mensuration, then the other units. Every day till Sunday, that's 3 previous year papers I want you to solve. I want you to solve 3 previous year papers at least till Sunday. And by solve, I mean that you give 3 hours explicitly to that exam, take a table chair, sit on that, and write down neatly the entire solution, right? And see yourself that where you are landing, right? Are you landing in 60 to 70, or are you landing in 70 to 80, or any other range, right? So assess yourself by giving the previous year papers, and at the same time revise, right? Probably once you in the morning till evening, you can revise the chapters, and after evening, basically in your night, you can give a basically a previous year paper, right? And then the basically the D day, right? Before the D day, that's Tuesday. What I want you to do on Tuesday is take your NCRT, sit with it, right? And take your notes, right? And go from chapter 1 till your last chapter, that's of statistics. Revise your notes, revise your NCRT, right? Do not go for any sample paper solving in the last 1 or 2 days. That's Monday and Tuesday. Do not do any sample paper, because it will only drain you out on energy, right? So do not do a sample paper in the last 2 days. Till Sunday, you can do a sample paper, but not after that, right? Revise, revise, and revise. Practice, practice, and practice. That's the only way you can crack full in maths exam, right? So of course, this is the most important slide, I would say, that you need to keep calm. You need to be balanced in your approach towards the exam. You cannot be diverted by any which way. You cannot be overconfident or underconfident. You have to keep your calm and composed character, right? It's a test of character as well, right? You need to show that yes, you've got uh, the balance of mind, you've got the presence of mind to actually execute in those 3 hours, right? So yeah, do not think negative or pressurize yourself. Take balanced, nutritious diet. I'm sure everyone is doing that, right? Already it's almost a 1 month now since your board exam started, so you already are aware of all these things. Take proper and sound sleep. That's very important in maths exam, guys. Please do not on Tuesday start studying all together RD Sharma examples, or or RS Agarwal examples that you have never come across. Do not do that. It will be detrimental to your score, right? Whatever you have done, it's done, right? Do not go for any new concepts, any new book as such to experiment in these 4 or 5 days, right? uh, Proper and a sound sleep, of course, is benefiting in any situation whatsoever. In board exams, of course, it can do wonders, right? Even if you don't have that much of preparation, it can do really great wonders if you have a sound sleep, right? So on the D day, that's your Wednesday, 28th of March, do not open any book in the morning. Do not do any calculation. Keep your mind fresh, right? It's when the reading time starts, that's when your mind should actually start. Probably you can do some mental calculations like 39 into 15, right? That will give you a knack of numbers solving, right? You can do that if you want, uh, to avoid the stress, right? Avoid any external thoughts whatsoever, any random thoughts that are coming to your mind, right? I'm sure everyone will do well, guys. Board exams you've seen already are very easy this board season, at least, right? And you'll do extremely good, right? So from Merit Nation, I wish you all the best, right? Please do log in for this board exam analysis on 28th, right? I'll be giving you the entire solutions. We'll have the strategy, not the strategy session, the analysis session of exam, right? So please join us then, right? Hopefully you'll do well, right? And I wish you all the very best from my side, right? It's an opportunity for you to showcase your talent. It's an opportunity for you to do your best, right? To do justice to your preparation that you have done for the past 1 year, right? So all the best for that, right? I'll see you guys in the board exam analysis session, right? So till then, this is me signing off, and best of luck.